Bonsoir, and welcome to another Radio New Manchester podcast. This is Richard, the owner of the New Manchester YouTube channel. Um, I decided to do this audio recording podcast at 1 in the morning. Well, it's actually 1:01 a.m. And I got something on my mind, or I'm just thinking of what I want to talk about in this podcast. Okay, I can talk about this. That mass shooting that happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota, at that Catholic school. The gunman is a sick fuck. He's a sick fuck because he enjoys killing children. So that guy is sick in the head. Even though he hates Catholic people, but he enjoys killing children. It's great that he's dead. This guy's a monster. He's sick in the head, but keep in mind, mass shooters aren't like this guy. I mean, well, yeah, well, I got it all wrong. Scratch that. Yeah, you got mass shooters who are like this guy, but you have mass shooters who've been pushed over the edge over and over and over and over again. I mean, they've been pushed over and over and over again till they're pushed over the edge that make them snap and make them go on a mass shooting spree. It's people who are like these people who are like this are people who've been they went through a bad upbringing with their they were brought up in a bad upbringing by their parents. They were treated badly by their siblings. They've been bullied and picked on. And when they go to school, and that drives them to go on mass shootings, and throw in being sexually abused and as a child. Yeah, these guys think it's a great idea to get a gun and just go and just shoot and kill people. But I'm here to say this. Killing people is wrong. So don't kill people. Killing is wrong. Are we on the same page? All right, good. So and mass shootings here in the United States, they just keep happening and happening and happening and happening, and there's no change in sight. I think I just grown tired of these mass shootings. I've grown tired of thoughts and prayers, and it just makes me sick to my stomach to see children go to school and they practice mass shooting drills so they can be ready for a mass shooting. If a mass shooting happens, they'll hide under a desk. They're shaking in fear. They're scared to death. They're crying. And you got kids talking about how the mass shooting unfolded. I heard some gunshots, and I heard some gunshots. I heard some pop, 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 and I went and saved my friend from being shot up, and I covered myself in blood to fool the gunman that I'm dead. And it's insane that children here in America, the United States, it's just a damn shame that they have to live like this. I mean, this is the world they're gonna be. This is the world that they are living in, and they're going to schools that have been turned into lockdown prisons, lockdown fortresses, with every policeman in their school, security, you know, heavy locked doors. This is, to me, this is not normal. And the solution to all these mass shootings and school shootings here in the United States, and this is simple, and every other country in the world has done this. Bring in strict, rigid, reasonable gun control. And if people get off this US Constitution and the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed and all this crap, I mean, if people in America get off of this and the politicians stop being in the pockets of the NRA, I guarantee that if they go through that route and bring in strict, rigid, reasonable gun control, then the mass shootings will stop. People who shouldn't have a gun won't be able to get a gun at all. So, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't want to go into that. All right. Alrighty then. Okay, I'm gonna talk about something that's on my mind. I'm gonna say this. Let's just pretend like, okay. Well, I'm gonna say it this way. Okay. Okay. We're in a foreign country that's outside the United States. This foreign country has people in that country who are down to earth, friendly, easy to talk to, and approachable. The people in that country are down to earth. They believe in social human connection. They will come out of the blue and talk to anybody that they want. Also, in this country has a lot of beautiful, gorgeous women who are sweet, feminine, down to earth, easy to talk to, and approachable, and they embrace their femininity. They embrace their God-given femininity. They dream of being with a man. They want to be with a man. And all they care about in a man, if he's a nice person who cares about them and care about the children that she is going to bear for them. I'll say it again. They dream of being with a man. They want to be with a man, and all they care about in a man is if he's a good person, if he's going to be a decent man, who's going to be a good father to the children that they are going to bear for him. This is directed towards men. And okay, you have a woman. Let's just say a teenage girl, and she loves two men and she can't choose which man she wants to be with. Well, a teenage boy. So let me start over again. Let's just say there's this teenage girl who is sweet, feminine, down to earth, easy to talk to, and approachable. And she is in love with two boys. And she can't choose which one she wants to be with. She wants to be with boy number one or boy number two. She can't make up her mind because both boys are friendly, down to earth, and sociable, just like the people in her country. This girl, who is exactly like all the other women and girls in her country, they believe in old-fashioned romance, something that American women don't believe in anymore, and American women view that as silly and childish. Well, romance still exists in the hearts of women and girls in this foreign country that is outside of the United States. So this girl can't decide which boy she wants to be with, which boy should be her boyfriend. So actually, the next day, she chooses the boy. I say a boy who wears eyeglasses, and she lets the other boy go. So the other boy is sad because this girl choose the boy with glasses over him. You know, there's a saying in this. I'm gonna take a page from a song by the singer Prince, "The Beautiful Ones." And it's like this: what's it gonna be, babe? Is it gonna be him, or is it gonna be me? Because I want you. Well, I'm gonna I'm gonna say something. Um, I'm gonna add something to all of that. Um, you know, yeah. I'm gonna say this. I never had a girlfriend. I never kissed a girl. But but, things are gonna. I say things are gonna get better for me. I'm probably gonna meet that special someone in the future, and I am. So, you know, yeah, I shouldn't be talking about this, but yeah, I got a soft spot for women, and I do, you know, and you know, yeah, women and girls here in the United States, you know, they're just nothing, and I remember that American woman who attacked me on one of the videos on this YouTube channel, a video that YouTube took down. I can tell you the name of that video again in this audio podcast recording. The title of that video is "American Women Suck. New Manchester Extreme." It was a good video, but that American woman didn't like it. Basically she was a mean-spirited woman who just wanted to be rude just for the hell of it. She was just gaslighting me, saying that I have psychological problems, I need to go see a therapist, and I need to go seek out a hooker, which she named the hooker Bitter Brian, and told me everything I typed to her in my comment response to her. Your ink won't hurt me. Your ink won't bother me, and all this stuff. Yeah, basically that woman was just gaslighting me, and she was. And in the past, I had a nasty temper. I let stuff and people like that woman get to me, but I just come to a conclusion that having a temper is just gonna just ruin your life. It's gonna if I yeah, and that temper I had in the past is gonna ruin my life. You know, someone said this: people who have tempers, they just can't handle life. They just can't take it. And I gotta take what life dishes out at me, and I gotta realize, everything that bothers me through a temper is just basically nothing. It's absolutely nothing, and all the things that people say to me and the poor treatment that I'm getting that sets me off by making me lose my temper, it's you know that stuff is just nothing, and I've learned that, I just can't let stuff bother me. Whatever it is that's bothering me, I just gotta ignore it and move on because there's a lot of important stuff that I need to do in life. Like having a job, working, supporting myself. Paying the bills, paying taxes. You know, saving money for something that I want, like 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 a trip to a foreign country, or and or like save my money and save enough money and create wealth to move to another country, and live in that country and never live in the US ever again and just live in a foreign country for the rest of my life, and finding that special woman, met, she starts out as my girlfriend, we date each other. We be in a girlfriend and boyfriend relationship for like 2 years, and then 2 years pass. I can pop the question, get on my knees, and ask her for a hand in marriage, and she jumps up and down for joy and says yes and hugs me and kisses me. Yeah, walk down that aisle in a wedding, you know, um, after that, go to the honeymoon and we make love, and get her pregnant with my baby gravy, and through doing the funky monkey, and we have kids, and be happy, yeah, that's yeah, and making friends, you know in a country outside in a country that I'm living in outside the US, make friends, talk to people, form friendships, meet people for the first time, and here in the United States, you just can't just go out and meet people. You just can't go out and meet people in America. It doesn't work that way because everybody is in cliques. Everybody is in a special group. You just can't just venture into a group or a clique and try to like meet people and form friendships. It doesn't work that way. You get pushed away. And, you can't talk to people. There's a lack of social or human connection here in the United States. Everybody is segregated, isolated, paranoid, and fake. Every man is an island. people don't want to be bothered. People want to be left alone in their own bubbles. You got men in their 40s, some of them, they want to be left alone. They don't want to be bothered. And old men are like this as well. And the only people you can talk to in the United States is the elderly, old people. And you can't talk to the young people because the young people aren't friendly and sociable and down to earth. Just the older people, the old folks, because the older people, the old folks, came from a time where everybody was sociable and friendly and down to earth. But yeah, in the United States, a long, long time ago. But those people who came from the old days, those old days weren't all sunshine and lollipops because you had crime, you had antisocialness, you had that. And also, you can't talk to people unless it's for business related purposes or asking for directions. If I living in a foreign country outside the United States that's friendly and down to earth and sociable, and it has people who are friendly and down to earth and sociable, I have to worry about going through the bullshit that I'm going through here in the United States. And people in America are very private. They don't want to talk about their personal business online or here on YouTube. They keep their personal lives and personal business off of YouTube, and I kind of broke that. It is what it is. How sweet it is. How sweet it is to kiss a woman or a girl for the first time in my life. Man, that'd be very, very sweet to me. Yeah, that's that song, how sweet it is to be loved by you, by you. Love will be in the air for me if I kiss that woman or that girl for the very first time in my life. That would be great. It would. Divorce. Divorce. Divorce is an ugly thing. Divorce is basically the end of a marriage, between two people, because these two people, a man and a woman, um, they just can't get along and they just can't live with each other, or they just don't want the responsibility of raising children, raising a family. I mean, being raising a family, they just don't want the responsibility, or and also they just can't live with that person anymore because they don't like how that person is. And when a divorce is finalized, a divorce is terrible. It's just the end of how it's the end of a love between two people. And here in the United States, you have people out there who don't want to get married, who don't want to start a family. They want to stay single. They want to be alone. You know, they hate kids. They say that children are noisy. They want to be alone and they just want to just grow and do whatever they want without any responsibilities. And that's cool. That's okay. You know, hey, if you want to stay single, if you want to get married, hey, that's up to you. But I understand that times are hard here in the U.S. You know, you can't start a you can't get married, and you can't marry someone and start a family in this day and age because of the economy and how things are. Everything is so expensive at stores. Everything costs a fortune. You know, but um, if someone wants to get married, to someone, they can live in they can do that in a foreign country where the cost of living is cheaper, uh, cheaper haircuts, you know, farmers markets with fresh meats and fruits and vegetables ready to be eaten, that yeah, and healthier foods that don't have any preservatives, toxins, dangerous GMOs, and artificial ingredients and toxins that's in the foods in the U.S. I mean, none of that in in the foods in foreign countries. Cost of living is lower and health care is affordable. I mean, a foreign country with universal health care. Health care that's guaranteed to everybody, regardless of income. You can go to the doctor, or you can go to the doctor, see your doctor. You have to worry about racking up a medical bill because medical bills don't exist in countries that have a different form or version of universal health care. Affordable health care, universal health care, that's a national health care that covers everybody. It's free to the point of service and comes out of the individual's tax dollars. Paid vacation time by law, a mini summer vacation. You don't work all the time at your job in that foreign country like you do here in the US. This foreign country is way better than the United States. Good quality, healthier foods, friendly, sociable, down to earth people who believe in social and human connection. Nobody isn't segregated, isolated, paranoid, and fake. Nobody isn't like that. The women and girls are sweet, feminine, down to earth, easy to talk to, and approachable, and they believe in good old fashioned romance. They are not manly. They don't have tattoos. They don't have a bad attitude. They don't think all men are creeps, weirdos, pedophiles, and perverts. They don't think all men are Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, Jeffrey Epstein, and R. Kelly. The young people are friendly and sociable, and they'll talk to anybody regardless of age. Some older people, some old folks are sociable, some are just mean and grouchy and bitter and want to be left alone. No school shootings, no mass shootings, no politics bullshit. People aren't going to ignore you when if you want to talk to them. Some people will, some won't. Life is good in that foreign country, but that foreign country is going to have problems. It's not far from perfect. You know, all countries aren't perfect. They have their problems. All countries outside the United States aren't perfect. They have their problems. But at the end of the day, their problems are not in the extreme as problems here in the United States of America. And that country that I just described, that's the country that I want to live in. I want to live in that country. That is the country that I want to live in. Because, I'm fed up with the United States of America, and I've been eyeing of moving abroad to another country. Those toxic Americans, they can bash me, they can call me every name out of the book, they can gaslight me, they can tell me there's something wrong with me, I need to go see a therapist, and I need to go seek out a hooker for sex. An American can go on and on and on about freedom and the U.S. Constitution and all of this stuff. a patriotic American can get all butthurt over the thought of if those rebels in those 13 British colonies lost the American Revolutionary War against Britain and remain part of the British Empire and morph into a different country. That patriotic American can get butthurt over that. But if he doesn't like that thought, that's his problem. But at the end of the day, you know, America became what it is. So it's in the history books, and there's nothing you can do about it. So just leave it alone. Man, it would be nice to slow dance with a woman or a girl, slow dance with her, sit next to her and talk to her. Me and her hold hands and we walk through the park. We sit next to each other on a park bench and we kiss each other. Holding her will make me feel really good inside. It will. But all I can do is dream. That's all I can do. But it might happen. All of this might happen to me in the future, and it will if I just stick to my goals. Learn French. Keep learning about the metric system. Learn about other cultures from other countries. Learn about other countries and their culture, and respect the culture of a country and understanding the culture of that country. In America, Generation X and millennials, they can go down memory lane. They can look back on their lives, but for me, my life is just beginning. The new chapter in my life is just about to begin. And I'm gonna make that chapter in my life the best. All right, that's all I gotta say in this audio podcast recording. All right, more videos to come on this channel. Cheers and au revoir. Merci, merci beaucoup. Enchanté, enchanté. Merci. Goodbye. Au revoir.